Hi, my people. Welcome back to 100 Days of Data with Miss Mailiana. It's day 55. All right, so you're going to be on the board for quite some time. All right, so let me get this done. 55 out of 100. 100 days of data with Miss Mailiana. I've cancelled. Alright, so I'm Francisca Mailiana Zonki, mostly known as Miss Mailiana, and I'm your lead tutor for this challenge. Alright, so we've gone through 4 tools, in fact 4 more major tools in data analytics, and I hope you understand the basics. This challenge is for you to understand the basics and know what is going on. So for today, we are going to be talking about something called EDA. All right, this is what we're going to be looking at. All right, so for EDA, we are going to know the definition of EDA, when it is used, understand the whole concept of EDA, because it's one of the process that you go through when you're analyzing a data, right, when you're doing your project. All right, first and foremost, what is EDA? The full name. So E stands for exploratory, D stands for data, and A stands for analysis. So EDA means exploratory data analysis, coming from the word explore. Okay, so I hope you've gotten an idea of what EDA is for. All right, so let's see the definition. It's also a process. Okay, so note that data analysis is a process. So it's a process. It's a process of exploring the data set So if you've been following our teaching from day one, when we talk about what is happening in the data, we are talking about what? Descriptive analysis or descriptive analytics, right? So exploratory data analysis is a process of exploring the data set to get what is happening, right? So when you get a data, you understand the data. Or when we say to understand the data is to know what is in the data, what is the data talking about, what is going on and all that. So after you understand the data, you do something like what? You clean it. Right? So after cleaning, you just don't jump in, okay, so and so is this, that. You have to know what is happening in the data. Like what's the total, what's the average, and all that. And that is you exploring your data. So you are performing exploratory data analysis to your data. I hope you understand the definition. This is the beginning of your analysis. So you have, in a nutshell, you started your data analysis, right? But this time around, you are exploring to find out what is happening in your data, right? And that is what we mean by EDA. So if you hear someone say, oh, I'm doing an EDA on my project, meaning that they've just started working, they are done cleaning the data, and then they just started exploring to find out what's happening, right? So when we say what's happening, we are talking about okay, the total or the average, something like what is really this data about and all that as well. All right, so let's see the importance of data. Let me use this to clean it. See, okay, let me just clean it with this. This is my counseling gear. We'll keep it that way. Okay, I had to get this so that our cleaning will be much better. So we'll have a whiteboard. I realized that some of the videos weren't clear as I wanted it to be because the board was red. So the marker was faint. So I had to come up with ways and means to clean the board as clean as possible so that my pens, and I got new markers, new pens, board pens as well. Okay. So EDA, what does EDA helps? EDA helps you understand the structure of the data. Okay, let's keep it that way. Structure of the data. It also helps you detect errors you missed. Right. You also identify patterns and trends. Okay. Then you generate hypothesis. Alright, so this is even under statistics. You see that soon, quite soon. If you did statistics in school, you know what hypothesis is, but do not worry, you're going to bring that as well. So the importance of EDA. I'm sorry for the background noise. I'm in a very, very busy house, so we are going to pray to get a new to get a mic as well, hopefully, right? Okay, so let's go on. EDA helps to understand the structure of data. So when you start your data analytics process, right, after going through the whole process and all that, you actually would get to a point whereby you are cleaning the data, you are removing duplicates, you are trying to just put your data together, right, cleaning it, missing values and all that. But trust me, we are humans, you'll still miss up something. That's where exploratory data analysis comes in. It helps you understand the data much better, because this time around you are going to be doing like, okay, let's find the total of the sales, let's find the total of this, let's see the average of that. So when you're doing that, it's going to let you know that, oh, this is what the data is truly about. Oh, this is what the data is talking about. So it makes you understand it much better, the structure of the data. Then now it makes you detect more errors, because when you're doing data cleaning, you're going to be cleaning and detecting errors, but then it's not. You'll be shocked that you see more errors as you are doing your analysis. You say, where is from these blank spaces? But if you're doing exploratory data analysis, it helps you detect more errors so that you can correct them as fast as possible before the major analysis. Then now it helps you identify patterns and trends as well, and it also helps you generate hypotheses. And when we talk about hypothesis, so let's talk about hypothesis for a minute. Okay, so hypothesis is just like creating a question for you to answer. That's how best I can explain it. And a question will be that, okay, let's say sales is mostly sales average is mostly equal to 1,000, right? So sales average is mostly equal to 1,000 as well. So you realize that when you did the trends and patterns, you realize that from January to June, the average is around 1,006, something and all those things, right? So you'll be like, okay, so that means sales average is relatively equal to 1,000. So you set an hypothesis that, okay, hypothesis one is that, okay, sales average is mostly equal to 1,000, and hypothesis two is like, okay, sales average may not be equal to 1,000, right? So you are saying that, okay, when you did the trends, you realize that the average of sales from January to June is mostly around 1,000 something average, right? So you say, okay, let's create a question, or let's create two questions that you are going to use to make analysis. That sales average is equal to 1,000, or sales average is not equal to 1,000, right? Whereby when you do the major analysis, you find out that okay, sales average is roughly 1,000. So you answer that it's true, the sales average is equal to 1,000, or it's false, the sales average is not equal to 1,000. So when you talk about hypothesis, it's like creating a general question to be answered at the end, right? This is how best I can explain it to a lay person. I hope you understand as well. All right, let's check if this noise is serious. All right, so I'm trying to use my old mic. This is it. I just feel like I need to explain to you guys. This is a challenge and you're doing this together. So I have this mic, but it can't be connected to the phone. Why? Because I'm using an iPhone 14 and it uses the old type of this one. It's not type C, but the mic is type C, right? So I can't connect it to the phone. So hopefully there's two things involved here: to get the mic that has an iPhone adapter, or to get a phone, to get maybe 15 or 16 that has a type C, so that I can just slot it in. So right now what I am doing is, I see that the noise is a lot, so I don't want to give excuses, right? So I am trying to use the mic and record the voice on the laptop. Then I'll use that to, like, I'll have to join it and try to sync it in and see if it will work, right? That means that it's a lot of work for me now to edit and even post that. So this challenge is really challenging, but we are going to do it by any means necessary. So let's continue as well. Let's continue. Okay. Trust me, this cleaning is much better. So like, I like this one way better. Okay. All right, so now where does the workflow, where do we find EDA, the workflow of data analytics? Remember, data analytics is what is actually how do we call it? It's actually a process, right? So the workflow. So when you have your data sets, I always add this to my workflow, right? When you have your data sets, you get your objective. You get your objective, right? The reason why you are doing, or the reason you are doing the analysis. Then now you do what? You understand the data. Please, this sometimes we omit this, but I really want you to know that you have to know why you are doing the analysis, and you have to understand the data to some extent. Then now we go on to clean your data. Then after cleaning, we move on to explore, right, which is what our EDA. We go to explore. Then now we go to further analysis and modeling and all those things, right? So you find your EDA right after cleaning. So EDA serves as so many things. It serves as one, further cleaning, so that if there are any other errors, you can detect them. It also serves as starting points of analysis, right? Starting points of analysis. It also serves as descriptive analysis. All right, So it helps you do a lot. It helps you do a lot, right? So exploratory data analysis is very key. So do not rush around it when you're doing exploratory data analysis. You have to take your time. Take your time so that you can find out that did you do a good cleaning service, and then you can also see that are you really ready to make your analysis, and you can also see your descriptive analysis. So when you talk about descriptive analysis, you know that is the what basic statistics. When we talk about basic statistics, we are talking about what? Total, average, mean, minimum, maximum, variance, standard deviation, quartile or something like that, right? So it gives you a lot there. So this is, so you can see that exploratory data analysis is very, very, very important as well. So let's go on. Okay, let's go on. What's next? All right, so from my note it says risks on what if you don't do data analytics, if you don't do EDA. The risks involved is that you're going to not have your data won't be trusted, right? You may trust incorrect data. Your data may be incorrect and you wouldn't know. So it's very important for you to do your EDA. Very, very important. There may be hidden patterns that you wouldn't be able to come across if you don't do your analysis, your EDA. So it's very important. So you don't have to miss your EDA. It's one thing that is not negotiable around it as well. So before we wrap up, the risk of not doing your EDA is that your data may be incorrect, or like there may be hidden errors that you may miss if you don't do your EDA. Also, you may not be able to find out what exactly is happening in your data because you didn't explore it. So you may be doing bias work. So it's very, very important for you to do your EDA. Alright, so before we end the call, I'm always on meetings, pardon me. Before we finish with this video, I want to talk about what EDA entails, right? So when you get a data set and you are about to perform your EDA, when you take Excel, right? So when you take Excel, how do you perform your EDA? Tools that you use to perform EDA, or like some skills you use to perform EDA, or some processes. One would be formulas like sum, average, percentage, and all that, right? So use formulas. The second one would be, which is my favorite, would be pivot tables. All right, pivot tables as well will help you with your EDA as well. Yeah, I think this will be what I'll give you for the beginning. When we take Power BI, alright, when we take Power BI, we also have the formulas, but it's called what? The DAX. Alright, we have the DAX. Under the DAX, you have your formulas, or you have your measures. Let's use the right words, okay? Let's use the right words. We have the measures, alright? Measures as well. That will help you do this one. Then now you can use your charts. Yes, 3. You can also use charts here. You can use your charts. It will help you find the trends as well. Then now let's talk about SQL, right? So SQL, you're going to be using your aggregate functions. Aggregate functions like the sum, the average, maximum, minimum. You're going to also be using the descending, where I think you use the where, having queries as well. So when you take Python, remember you do something as info, right? Or description, right? Describe. The code that has something like describe will give you the statistics around it as well. So these are ways that you do exploratory data analysis at the beginning stage with your data in the different tools that we've covered. I hope this helps. All right, thanks for learning with us, and I'm going to see you in the next video.